I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and I was wanting to tell you about a visit I had with my friend the other day. Her husband died over a year ago, and she had just been seeming awfully lonely lately, and as we talked I noticed that she was very depressed, and so I didn't want to really mention it, but she told me that she'd been so lonely since her husband died. And I said, well, maybe you should learn a craft or go out for an exercise group. And she told me that she did not want to go out of the house. And she said, I've been thinking about getting a pet. And she told me that she'd been reading an article about animal shelters. And I said, well, that's interesting. And so she gave me the article. And the article was written by Wayne from the Humane Society organization. It said, every year millions of dogs and cats are relinquished by their owners or rescued from the streets by animal control officers and private citizens and brought to animal shelters. And with that many going into an animal shelter, you would know they would have a lot to pick from, different sizes, different ages, and just a big variety of everything. And having that many come in shows how much a need an animal shelter has to find homes for these pets, because otherwise they would need to be euthanized. And so I told her that that sounded really good, and we talked about there was an article that said many people relieve loneliness by getting a pet. A dog or a cat is understanding and is someone you can talk to about anything. And I said, yeah, my dogs never yell at me and never argue with me, and they were very easy to talk to, and they don't care what you look like. And I said, well, I guess you need to decide if you will want a cat or a dog if you get a pet. And so from the magazine Modern Dog, it says, in the wild, cats are usually solitary hunters and often are active mostly at night. In contrast, wild canines are usually sociable pack animals that work in groups and are active from dawn to dusk. And she decided that she'd prefer a dog because they're usually friendlier and not as standoffish. And I said, well, I'll go check out our animal shelter tomorrow and see what the rules are or what they have to offer, and what she may need to do if she wants to adopt a pet from there. So the next day I went to our Humane Society, which is called Caring Hands. It's a very nice place, and I met a lady named Lori Smith. She's their animal trainer, and she told me that she was glad I came in and stuff. And I said, I'm really interested in what you have for older adults, because most of the people I know are older. And she told me about a program called OPA, and it gives peace of mind to older adults wishing to adopt a pet but are worried about what might happen if they encounter poor or declining health and are unable to care for their pets. In the OPA program, a volunteer will go into the older adult's home every week for 4 weeks, then once a month for the first year, to bond with both the pet owner and the pet. An animal behavioral training consultant from Caring Hands will also make house calls during the second week and will be available to help at any time with any behavioral issues that might develop. They also have another program that we can thank Purina. It's Purina Pets for Seniors program. And they will pay 100% of what it costs to adopt a pet. And I was thinking, this has got to be good, you know, you don't have to pay anything, and they give you all this help if you adopt a pet. Lori also mentioned that petting a dog or cat releases oxytocins, and it can lower your blood pressure and relieve stress. And in Gayla's blog, she has pets control blood pressure better than drugs. And the National Center for Infectious Diseases wrote that they also lower cholesterol and triglyceride levels. So this shows it is very good for our health to have a pet. And it also had another article that told you how good it was for your loneliness. It said in Gayla's blog mentioned that pets combat feelings of loneliness and depression and increase happiness. They encourage you to go out for exercise. They reduce stress. So there's really no reason to not have a pet. And I mean, you could even go with a bird or something if you didn't want to be tied down to another kind of pet. But cats usually don't need too much attention. They can just have a box and I really didn't realize how much my pets do for me. And I'm hoping after I gave you this information on the programs they have at our animal shelter and how much they need people to adopt animals and how much people need for their health and how they react with people and not being lonely, that you would think about going out to our animal shelter and talking to Lori and seeing if you could find a pet you liked. And if you weren't wanting to have a pet, they also could use lots of volunteers to help pets be adoptable. Thank you for coming.